everybody and welcome to episode 25 of the Train Sim News Show. My oh my, hasn't it been a long time since I've made an episode? Well, since it's been a long time, I think it's only best if I make a few changes. Well, only one major change really. It's time to wave goodbye to this still which I made on paint.net back in May of last year. Yes, it has been that long. And say hello to the brand new still. Woo! You do not understand how happy I am to have finally got this new still. Now, I'm fairly certain a few of you will come up to me and say, Daniel, I know you can't draw that well, so who was the independent adjudicator who drew this amazing picture? Well, some say that he's never been on the Great Western Main Line, and that he doesn't know the misery of going on the Great Western Main Line. All we know is he's not the Stig, but he is an artist, and he goes by the name of Smudge Proof. Now, there were a few reasons why I chose Mr. Smudge to do my new still. Firstly, I've been speaking to him for quite a while and I've had some experience with him because I've got previous commissions from him. I'm not going to tell you what they are because I'll let you find them if you're actually that clever. Secondly, I really do like his style. I'm not some sort of art critic, but I guess the best thing I can really say is it's got a nice little original kink to it. Now, I'm not going to lie, his prices are steep as a typical Welsh mountain road. For example, you know this still that I got from him? Cost me £100. That's right, 100. The previous 4 that I got cost around 56 quid each. But, and this is a big but, it's kind of balanced out by the fact that this guy will draw anything. Annoyingly, thanks to YouTube's community guidelines, I can't really show you what I mean. If you're that curious, just go and look for yourself. I'm fairly certain you'll find ones where even you will be very surprised of, yes, somebody asked for that. Not that that's a problem or anything, of course, we all have different tastes, and that's a good thing. As long as you're not on UK Train Sim, of course, but that's another story for another day. Hey Daniel, I know a few of you are probably thinking in the back of your heads, why are you plugging this guy? You never plug things on your show, you're like the BBC-ish. Well, here's the thing, if you're going to draw something for me, as important as my still, I don't see why you shouldn't be deserving of a plug. Once again, thank you so much for drawing this, Mr. Smudge Proof. Your contribution to my show is much appreciated, and I just love how it looks. There's almost nothing wrong with it. And I even love the little details you put in, especially on the computer monitor and the what's it called, on that little demotivational poster on the left hand side. I love it. Now with that plug out the way, on with the show. Well, before that, I just want to say that during my hiatus, I managed to make somebody very angry. Very angry indeed. I'm not even going to bother with a Stig joke or anything like that, but he goes by the name of Danny Leach. Yes, the guy who made that pathetic excuse of a reskin. Yeah, he got really angry, and even went as far as saying that he was going to cancel all of his projects because one person, I repeat, one person in the middle of Surrey criticised his untouchable reskin. What else can I say to this guy apart from... Because quite frankly, I think crying is the best thing you do, mate. I may praise your fictional route and your fictional reskins, but your behaviour towards me after I criticised your untouchable reskin was, quite frankly, laughable for somebody in their 30s, according to your comments, which you then deleted, because you realised maybe talking smack towards Mr. Maverick isn't a good idea, because he has this amazing device called Print Screen and Microsoft Paint. And he might end up featuring those comments on his show, which would have a bad effect for people actually taking me seriously. Which, incidentally, is the reason why I don't have any other screen captures. I apologise for that. But yeah, it was extremely unpleasant trying to talk to him. I think I'm right in saying that Dovetail's help and support and their community manager were more approachable than this guy. Because when I spoke to the community manager, it felt like I was speaking to an adult, and even when I was speaking to the help and support, they did actually read my review, they did take in what I said, and they even criticised my review. If you remember the episode, I think he even tried to defend career mode. He failed, but he at least tried. So, you know what, hats off to them for actually giving me a legit response. Unlike Mr. Danny here, who I've decided just to put on the naughty step until he can learn to behave himself. And quite frankly, if you want to cancel all your projects because I criticised your reskin, go right ahead. Just remember who you'll be upsetting more, because I'll tell you right now, it's not going to be me. I've got better things to worry about than the wibble you spewed towards me. Now, it has been a long time since I last made my previous episode of my show. Again, circumstances beyond my control were to blame for that. As a result, I've missed quite a lot of things that have happened, and quite frankly, there is no way I would have been able to cover all of them, even in this episode here, because that would just put so much stress on me, and the episode would just never be finished. Instead, I've decided I will only focus on 2 add-ons today. Those are the Wherry Lines route by the Armstrong Powerhouse, and the other being Just Trains' Western Mainlines route. The timecodes of when each review starts will be also listed on the screen, just in case you want to skip ahead or something. Well, with that being said, let's not dawdle any further and jump into our first review. I remember first talking about this route in early January when it was first announced. Well, technically it was Christmas Day, but I don't make videos during Christmas Day because everyone's on holiday, including me. I think I remember saying that this route was going to fall into the eye candy category, and my opinion on this route can be summed up as, well, in the words of Marius from the High GPS show,
it looks cool, it sounds cool. The end. That's all.
Couldn't have said it better myself, mate. Now, to be honest, I wasn't going to go that hard on them for this add-on because, well, it's their first route, and much like your music, your first route on Train Simulator is almost never good. Practice makes perfect. However, that thought changed once I saw how far they were going to boast about this route, which in turn generated a huge amount of hype in their comment sections of their posts, and as the commenters know, the Armstrong Powerhouse can never make anything bad, because they are the Armstrong Powerhouse. I recommend you don't play the Maverick Adjective drinking game whilst looking through some of their posts, as you will probably end up in A&E. My personal favourite out of all of their hyping up posts is this one, which says, all manual level crossings and many of the signal boxes on our forthcoming Wherry Lines route have been individually modelled by Nicholas Sheenan. So would all of you like to guess where the problem in this post is? Nope, you're quite wrong. It's right there. All manual level crossings. Now, when people say all, they usually mean all, like 100%. For example, all of the buckets in this room have been filled to the brim with water, or you have been banned from all of our servers because you are hacking, etc, etc. And whilst I'll agree that the level crossing at Cantley is a custom model, I don't think that this one is a custom model. If anything, it's actually the original default Kuju level crossing that was used on the Bath to Templecombe route, which has been around for quite a while to say the least. Or indeed this one. Or this one, 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 or these two, or this one, 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 or these two, or this one, or this one, or this one, or this one, and definitely not this one either. Well, at least you can now see why I disagree with their little statement there. I think it's more appropriate to say that a strategic number of level crossings have been individually modelled, rather than all level crossings, because that's a complete lie. Well, at least the level crossing at Altonborough North is exactly like the real thing, isn't it? Nah, it's awful. Now, let's get on to some other problems regards to this add-on. The first problem is the price. It costs £30.
You f***ing what, M9?
The last add-on I remember costing around that money was the Railjet, which I looked at around December. And now that I think about it, it feels as if history is repeating itself. I'm telling you, it won't be that long until add-ons start costing £40 and people will defend that. I know some of you will laugh now, but I guarantee you won't when that actually happens. Now back to the price. Well, do you remember when I said that this route costs £30? I was a bit wrong. It costs a bit more than that. Thanks to the fact that it uses assets from other routes, the total cost of getting this route working is, well, as near as makes no difference, £75. What's that? You don't believe me? Alright then, well let's brush up on your maths GCSE very quickly and see what's what. Okay, cost of the route plus the cost of the GEML plus the cost of the Isle of Wight and plus the cost of the cheapest of those three assets they offered, being the Ports of Direct Line, and it all totals up to... way! Wouldn't you look at that? As near as makes no difference, 75 quid. Now to clarify, the act of route builders using assets from other routes, especially payware routes, is nothing out of the ordinary for Train Simulator. Routes like the I Valley for example, and even my route, do pretty much exactly the same thing. But here's the key difference. The I Valley wasn't hyped up to be the greatest route of all time or anything like that. And also, the I Valley is free. The Wherry lines isn't, and with its price tag of £30, it makes it look extremely pretentious in comparison. Oh, by the way, do you want to use that reworked Class 37 that is included with this route? Well, you can, just as long as you have Settle and Carlisle installed, which buffs the price to... oh dear. Also, from what I know, I don't think these reworkings apply to the current Class 37 Pro sound pack. So, in a way, it's kind of saying, screw the people who have supported us, please give us more money for something that we should have included as an update a while ago, but never mind that. Oh dear, look how much I'm complaining about this route, and I haven't even got to the worst bit about it. Well, the biggest problem I have with this route can be described as being the inconsistent quality control, and this is best demonstrated at Lowestoft. Just looking around here, it doesn't even get its own custom model. Where are the signs at the end of the station? Why is it using the platform loss from the GEML? And oh my goodness! Is that the default Kuju building? And what's the car doing there in the middle of the wall like that? Let me get this straight. Norwich, the biggest station on the route, gets a custom model. Great Yarmouth, the second biggest station on the route, gets a custom model. Burnley Arms, the smallest station on the route by far, gets a custom model. But Lowestoft, being one of the other terminus stations, doesn't get a custom model? Well, screw that then. They aren't going to give a damn, why should I? Okay, this is where I put my foot down. If you're going to use the default Kuju assets for your first route, fine. If you're going to use the default Kuju assets on a payware route, fine. If you're going to use the default Kuju assets on your first route and it happens to be payware, fine. But, and this is a big but, if you're going to use the default Kuju assets on your first route and it happens to be a payware route, and then you come up to me flailing your arms about saying this is the greatest route on Train Simulator, it's an immersive experience because we made it and we spent a year building this route. What do you honestly want me to say to you? Those Kuju assets are outdated. They've been around for getting on for nearly 10 years. Are you seriously telling me that modelling Lowestoft Station was too much to ask, or was a genuine oversight that I assume will be corrected in some sort of update? Kind of like what you did with Reedham's signal box. How do you miss something like that, or especially for a route this small? No wait, I think I got it, don't tell me. The route was rushed, wasn't it? You had to rush this route to get it out right now, didn't you? Because of this somewhat new trend I'm starting to see around with Train Simulator routes where they're just rushed out as fast as possible because reasons. That's what it honestly feels like. I'm not seeing 100% effort put into this route, and I can't believe in 2016 I'm going to have to ask this question. Is it really too much to ask to see a product that is released with 100% effort put into it? And I mean 100% effort put in everywhere regards to the product, not just in a few strategic locations. If the answer to that question is yes, I'll sink my standards for all future products much lower than usual. If the answer is no, then show it! Prove it that you can actually make something, well, worth my time, to be completely honest with you. I remember seeing a comment by them saying that they wouldn't animate some of their custom level crossings. Now I can understand them not being able to interlock them with the signals, that's fine, but I'm not sure why they're not even going to bother to animate them in the first place. In contrast, take a look at this. This is on the reworked Kobitsa mountain route, I think it's called, by Mr. Sad. Just look at the detail he's putting into that level crossing animation. He didn't have to do it, but it's those little things. It's showing that he has some passion for this route. He's putting in a lot of effort. Contemplate this for a moment. A person building a fictional route is putting in more detail to make his route feel more realistic than a route that takes place in real life, where in that case you can go on real reference trips and take pictures and take videos and use the sectional appendix to make your route as close to the original as you could possibly do so. Certainly shows something, doesn't it? Well, with all the negative things I'm saying about this route, there surely must be something that I like about it. And you'd be right. There are a few things that I like. I like the reworked Class 37 a bit, and those new Mark IIs are nice, even though they punish the people who have supported them by purchasing the Mark IIs already, and the original Mark II pack won't get an update like this for, well, hasn't got an update now. I don't know when it'll get an update to these models, and the scenery is nice in some places. But for me, the best thing about this route are the semaphore signals that have been included. They have good modelling, good textures, and not to mention, they actually work like semaphore signals. It got up to the point where I was actually going to try using them on my own route. However, I don't think I'm going to touch them with a 10-foot pole. Why is that? Well, I decided to test them out on the route that nobody seems to remember, and see if I can get them to work. And they kind of pulled a British Leyland on me. 25% of the time they seemed to work, and the other 75% of the time they just went up on strike and did nothing. Further analysis of the Wherry line shows that there were these blue markers on the ground. I think it was to assist with the scripting or something, and since I didn't really know how they worked, I just gave up using them. Sitting here thinking about it, there is one thing I kinda wish they did with those semaphore signals, and that is make a huge bundle of all of those semaphore signal types, including some rare variants and semaphores on new gantries, on old gantries, concrete, lattice, and some that are like the ones that Network Rail are installing, and donate it to the UKTS freeware packs for other route builders to use. That would be a great idea. It would encourage more people to route build since they now have some good semaphore signals to use. Also provide instructions how to use them, of course. If you actually did that, I think it'll be a situation of, well, who would say no? I certainly wouldn't. I'd certainly love to use semaphore signals like this and maybe this on my own route. And I'm fairly certain other route builders and those who might want to get into route building would love to use semaphore signals like that. It's a suggestion for the future, but I hope they do at least take that into consideration. Well, that's kind of all I have to say regards to the Wherry line's route. Oh, I do think it has a missed opportunity regards to the Bitterm line, and I still think that Mr. Fakenham's one looks so much better as well, aesthetically and bar the signals, of course. The last thing I can really properly say is, well, yeah, the route does look nice in a few places, and the sound assets are nice, and the tweaks for the Class 37 are nice, but what do good looks and good sounds really mean at the end of the day if 1, there isn't much to do, and number 2, there are areas of the route that just feel lazily done, and the overall quality control seems a bit inconsistent. Oh, by the way, scenario pack, and that's the reason why we made a scenario pack for this route. I think this route falls into my category of decent on my rating scale, and I don't think it'll change to being good unless there's, well, more to do and overall quality control has been fixed, but I don't think that will happen for ages. And because of this, I think the route is more than deserving of the Marth treatment, so, Marth, if you please.
Let's dance!
concludes my review of the Just Train's Western Mainlines. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you guys next time. Goodbye! Hold on, what happened to my outro? Oh, I've lost it from the hard drive crash. Guess I have to make a new one. And whilst I'm making this new one, I guess I have to talk about this route. Oh dear. Well, I think I'll start by saying that the Western Mainlines route was just announced, and then a couple weeks later, released. I don't think there was that much hype to it. There might have been a little bit, but nowhere near as much as I'm used to seeing. Obviously, when the route was released, there was a day one discount, because as we all know, putting a discount on your product when you release it shows that you have a huge amount of confidence for your product now, doesn't it? But that's not the reason why I don't like this route. If anything, that's just a nitpick compared to the bigger problems that this route has. The biggest problem being, from a route builder's perspective, this route was rushed. Let me give you a few examples of what I mean. On Train Simulator, you can place these things called markers on your route. Now, they basically tell your train if this is a siding, if this is a platform, a portal, etc, etc. I have nothing against them, they work fine, they do their job, and even MSTS had something very similar to that if I can remember. Now, something else you can do with these markers is give them names. For example, you can, let's say, name if this is Didcut Platform 1 or Platform 5. Basically those things. Again, nothing wrong with that. However, according to Just Trains, naming these markers is too much to ask. In some places on this route, you can actually look around and you'll notice that they haven't even bothered to name some of these crucial markers. That is just plain lazy, and don't be fooled into thinking that they've just done this in obscure areas that you'll never go to. Let's wave hello to Western Supermare and its trademark Siding 47, and hello Reading Depot with its trademark Sidings 18 and 20. Some places don't even have markers in them at all, so you have no idea what they're supposed to be for. You would know if you actually go on the line, but to somebody like me who does their best to stay away from the Great Western Main Line at all costs, you have no idea! Another major issue with this route is the poor quality in terms of route building. I hinted at this from the montage, but I have a few other examples as well. There are some cases I've measured the AWS magnet being nearly 1/4 of a mile away from the signal. Some stations, like for example Tiverton Parkway, don't have any stop markers, so you don't know where to stop if your train is, let's say, longer or shorter than the norm. This station has new platform textures, but this station doesn't deserve that and uses the default Kuju objects. Oh, look at this! Column Platform 2. How on earth do you manage to make that mistake? And oh lord, Avonmouth, it looks awful! This station looks nothing like what it looks like in real life. Man, was this route lazily made. I've seen more effort put into Nuclear Scout videos. Yeah, I said it, Nuclear Scout. At least Nuclear Scout in his own right is a parody and he's not supposed to be taken seriously. Plus, when you think about it, his power is one of the most unique superpowers I've seen in my life. The Western Mainlines, on the other hand, is not a parody. It's not a parody on Network Rail's shoddy time scheduling. It's not a parody on how poorly First Great Western have handled the Great Western Mainline. Considering this add-on has a 25 quid price tag, it's supposed to be taken seriously. And to be completely honest, I can't take it seriously, mainly due to its presentation. I mean, yes, the route is long and it's non-linear, and I should like it. I wanted to like it because of those traits. But it's just so poorly made. And even for a route this big, it still has a lot of missed opportunities. Where are the Thames Valley branches? Where's the Heathrow Express branch? Why haven't you included those new signals? So many questions to ask, and I doubt any of them will be answered. I hope some of you understand where I'm coming from with my criticisms, but one thing I do want to make clear is that I'm not looking for something to be perfect in Train Simulator. I can accept minor faults here or there. Now that I think about it, because there are so many people who play this game, in order for something to be created and to be classed as what we all would call as being perfect, it would have to fulfill a specification and requirement list that would go on for ad infinitum. The most interesting thing about that list is my requirements would take up 1/5 of that list. I'm not asking for perfection, I'm just asking for something to be good. Nothing more, nothing less. And as I said earlier, if that's really too much to ask, then, well, please tell me. please tell me right now. Well then, if I hate this route so much, why have I rated it as being bad, as opposed to absolute rubbish on my rating system? I'm going to throw Just Trains a bone, albeit a very small bone, for the fact that they've built a route on Train Simulator that is more than 300 miles in length. That's pretty much the only thing stopping me from rating this add-on as being absolute rubbish. The length is good. It's twice the length of my own route that I'm building. Though without being boastful, I think I have some room to say that I don't think it's twice the quality either. I'm not going to give it the Marth treatment, its punishment must be more severe. I'll need to think about that. What can I do? Oh, I got a good idea. I'm going to travel back in time and stop it being conceived in the first place. And then I'll experience possible outcomes of the future, with each of them being gradually worse than the previous, until we end up being in Dust Bowl. Come on kids, let's go down to the train station and board on our time travelling train. Away! That was fun. I just want to say right now that I was originally going to look into 3 add-ons for this video, the other add-on being the Class 68, which I was expecting it to be released this week, in time for me to record. However, there was a sale on, meaning it's obviously not going to be released during a sale, and it's obviously the time where lots of you people buy stuff you're going to use once or twice and never remember you even bought it next week. Whenever the Class 68 is released, however, I will take a look into it either as a separate video or in the next episode of my show. I'll decide what I'll do closer to the time depending on how good or bad the Class 68 happens to be, though my hopes aren't really that high, to be completely honest. Last thing to say is, thanks to a commenter, I've decided that I'm going to start accepting subtitles for my videos. I spent some time enabling subtitles on all my new show episodes, so all you people in the community are more than welcome to start contributing subtitles for the show, mainly for the assistance of those hard of hearing or those who may not understand English too well, you know, those kinds of things. I'm not going to sit here and give you tutorials on how to do subtitles, you can find them scattered around on YouTube. Please be aware of a few things. Firstly, it's a first come, first served basis. And the minute I start to see people quarrelling about subtitles, just remember this, I can turn this ability off like that, so keep that in mind. Secondly, these subtitle languages are not just restricted to English. I'm more than willing, and in fact especially grateful, if people could do it in other languages as well, such as Spanish, French, German, the lot, since I am aware that I get non-English viewers watching my videos, and there's nothing wrong with that. Thirdly, please be aware that this is voluntary, you don't have to contribute subtitles if you don't want to, and I will not force you to do it either. And fourthly, please remember that I do check them before approving, so if you're going to submit joke ones, I can just decline them. Please don't waste your own time in your feeble attempt to be funny. Well, that's all I've got today for this episode. Thank you very much for your patience, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you all next time. Goodbye!